From the Detroit Free Press, I'm Robin Chan with today's voice briefing. It's Friday, August 11th, 2023.
For the Detroit Free Press Autos team, I'm Jamie LaRoe. It might be time to head to a dealership showroom again, as new data showed the increase in new car prices is slowing. On Wednesday, Kelley Blue Book released July pricing data. The average price Americans paid for a new car in July was $48,334. That's about $200 higher than it was in the year-ago period. But that is the smallest year-over-year increase in new car prices in the last decade. Also, between January and July, the average transaction prices are down by about $1,300, the largest January to July drop in the past decade. Experts said higher inventory of new cars and increased incentives are helping lower the average transaction prices. In July, the average incentive was about $2,100. That's double what it was a year ago. Just don't count on General Motors increasing discounts, its CFO said Wednesday. The automaker is careful to hold its inventory to match demand.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Nora Hall. With a nod to Toby Keith, Free Press readers love these bars. Many responded to our call for favorite dive bars throughout Wayne County, Oakland County, and Macomb County, submitting bars that have been around for years. So we put together an extensive list for each area. In Wayne County, establishments such as the Old Miami, Whiskey in the Jar, Rustic Cabins, and many others were nominated. And while they might not have the fanciest decor, they are just as well loved and have woven themselves into the fabric of their communities. Some even operated as blind pigs during Prohibition, such as Yale Tap Room in Detroit's East Side and Gold Star Bar in Wyandotte. Many of the bars claim to have the cheapest beers and the best burgers in town, but we'll leave that up to you to decide. The complete list for Wayne County dive bars submitted by readers is currently available at freep.com, while the Macomb and Oakland County lists will be released Friday and Saturday.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Marina Johnson. The Perseid meteor shower, known as one of the largest meteor showers each year, is currently active and will reach its peak this weekend. The shower typically begins in mid-July and concludes at the end of August. During its peak, 50 to 100 meteors are visible per hour. Meteor showers occur when there's a heightened period of activity where multiple meteors are visible from the same point in the sky. For viewing, it's recommended to go outside after dark and before dawn. Experienced observers recommend between 3 and 4 a.m. as an ideal viewing time. It's also encouraged to go somewhere with little light pollution and good visibility, meaning outside the city. For more, visit freep.com.
I'm Andrew Burkle with the Free Press Sports Department. And ladies and gentlemen, the Roar has been restored, and the Detroit Lions will be playing tonight on your television screens. The Lions have been hard at work the last few weeks at training camp, including some joint practices this week against the New York Giants. That's who they'll play Friday night at 7 o'clock at Ford Field. Now, teams these days don't like to take any unnecessary risks, so you won't see many, if any, stars out in the field for the first preseason game. Lions coach Dan Campbell described it as practice is for the starters and games are for the backups. It's a model that a lot of NFL teams are using these days. With the joint practices, there are just so many more elements the teams can control, which, in theory, allows teams to avoid injuries to their best players. But that doesn't mean that preseason is meaningless. The coaching staffs for both teams will be carefully watching their second and third string guys battle it out. Remember, there are only 53 roster spots available for NFL teams. Right now, there are 90 guys on the roster. Considering there are roughly 35 or so players that have roster spots already locked up, it becomes a math game very quickly. When someone says the preseason doesn't matter, they're not entirely wrong, at least for a decent chunk of the roster. But for the other half, it means everything. For more on the Lions preseason game and the key players to watch, head to the sports section of our website at freep.com/sports.
Find more from the Detroit Free Press by visiting freep.com. That's FREEP.com. Thanks for listening, have a great weekend, and you'll hear more from us Monday.